Hey everybody, it's Chris, and today we'll be looking at the Dynamic Discs Vandal. This will be their fairway release for 2019. It'll also be the Trilogy Challenge driver this year, so be looking for an event in your area so you can get your hands on one of these great discs. Now what can I tell you about the Vandal? It's a 1.9 centimeter rim, and I would describe it as stable to understable. And what I mean by that is if you throw it with a reasonable amount of power with some touch, it's going to hold a very straight line, whatever line you put it on. If you throw it on a turnover, it should hold that. If you throw it on a hyzer, it should hold that. If you throw it straight, again, it should hold that. My easiest comparison disc for me is actually mid-range. It would be like an Original Truth, a disc that's somewhat understable, but if you throw it nice and flat, a little bit powered down, it's going to hold a beautiful straight line. Now that said, both of these discs, if you overpower them, are going to turn over. So you're going to see a wide variety of shots in this video. You're going to see me slip a little bit on the grass, so you're going to get an almost spike hyzer. You're going to see some beautiful flat throws with a little bit of stable finish. You're going to see some beautiful flat throws in the woods that hit trees. I'll explain that in just a second. You're going to see some great turnover shots where the disc just pans forever to the right, and you're going to see a roller. Like I said, if you put it on a line, it wants to hold it. Now I mentioned some tree hits. There are going to be more bad shots in this video than I usually include, because they were bad shots on my part because I missed the line by a little bit, but you can still see the beauty in the flight of the disc before it hits a tree or before it misses the line completely and goes into the woods. So I've included a few, even though they're bad shots, just so you can see the flight of the disc because it does hold up so well. For comparison, I had heard that they were going to be similar to a fairly beaten escape or a slightly beaten escape. So I am using my hybrid escape that I used all last year. It is slightly beaten now, so it holds a straight to slightly turned line. I can trust it to tilt out and maybe come back to flat. And then I also have this pearly run. I mean, this one's died, but this is a pearly domey escape. This is one that I trust to just fly fairly flat and fade just a touch at the end. So good comparison tools, I thought. You're going to see the Vandal hold up very well. And I'll go to the video now because I don't have a whole lot more to say, but as always, if you have any questions or comments, please put them below so I can get back to you. I will include a couple pictures of rim profile. You're going to see the wing is fairly flat, almost concave or convex, but not quite. In the pictures, I'm going to compare it to an escape and a thief just so you can get an idea of what it looks like. But like I said, put those questions below. As always, thanks so much for watching. So here are the promised wing comparisons. As you can see, blunter nose, not as concave as the escape on the wing. And here, that blunt nose is much more similar to the thief, but again, that very flat underside of the wing. My first throw in the field just had a weird release, didn't get much on it. I was expecting this disc to just hit the ground, but it kept going. It covered close to 340, I was stunned. In this throw in the woods, I was aiming right at that tree. Yes, that one, and I nailed it. So on the second shot, I decided to take a little bit off it, give it a little more hyzer on the release, and as you can see, it's tracking down the fairway. It will hit another tree, but this was actually right where I wanted the flight to be. This throw is a forced over roller. You can see it hit the ground pretty far over to the right, but it's going to track back towards center, swing behind the pin, go out into the field, and hit some tall grass and get stuck. And then one force over in the woods, just give it a nice snap to let that understability kicked in, around the corner, progresses up the fairway. Last throw, here's that made-up slip. I know, it was just a bad release, but holds the hyzer the entire way. This disc really does hold lines. Here we'll start comparisons. This is my beat-up hybrid escape. It's not a roller by any means, but it does have a little turn to it now. You can see here just a fairly flat release with some decent snap, and the hybrid escape is going to drift right, whereas the Vandal's just going to hold that really nice straight line, just track toward the basket. Second throw, this is an intentional turnover, pretty obvious. I did turn over the escape more, so there is going to be that portion on the top where it's knifing down, but watch the Vandal on the bottom frame. See how flat it is, just panning right? This is my longest throw of the day because it just held that line beautifully the entire flight. On the third comparison, I managed to get much flatter throws. The Vandal is going to have just a touch of hyzer, and it's going to get a little higher, and so you're going to see it just kind of stall out at the end, but look at that beautiful straight line before it fades a little bit toward the basket, whereas the escape, again, beautiful straight line with just a hyzer finish. Both ended up inside the circle. Great throws from both of them on that one. This last comparison is a hard snap. I'm giving it some height, trying to turn it over. The basket is actually in between these three big trees in the middle. Both discs track, the escape's going to track more right before fading. You're going to see the Vandal a little bit higher, almost stalls out because of that height, but you can see just straight line. Okay, the next three shots are all near misses. This first one needed to be a little bit farther left so that it could turn all the way around the corner, pan out and progress towards the pin, but instead I turned it over too sharp, get stuck in the woods. This one's supposed to be a gut shot. you're going to see I'm just going to miss the target. I'm just a little bit right. You can see how nice the disc is flying. It flips up flat. It's progressing forward, but it hits a tree because it's obviously thrown over into the woods instead of up the gut. Both of these shots, all three of these shots have that thing in common. They're just a little bit off the target. Here again, right up the gut, perfect line, except a little bit too much power, turns it over, hits a tree. All three gave me such a beautiful idea of what the disc could do. I just need to get a little more work with it. For this last comparison, the escape is actually on the line I want to hit, but focusing on the Vandal, which is lower and more left, you can see just how much turn this disc does have and how far up the fairway it does get before it punches into the woods, and it ends up almost pin high still. Then here on the last hole of the course, this is about 370. I've never come close to this basket before because of how uphill it is, so watching the disc fly on this beautiful line turned over was fantastic. And we can pretend that this was my first putt to make the 2, but it was really the 4th. In review, the Vandal is Dynamic Disc's newest fairway driver. It will release for the 2019 Trilogy Challenge. It is a very straight to understable disc, so slower arms are going to find it pretty easy to throw. Should be able to get easy distance out of it with maybe a decent fade. Bigger arms are going to find it able to hit more lines, including turnovers and even rollers. If you like this video or found it informative, please feel free to like it, share it, give it a thumbs up, or even subscribe to the channel. As always, thanks for watching, and check out that Raider flying through the air. First throw over 400 all year.